Hello, passionate people. Welcome back to another episode of Passionate Talk. I am your host, Gary Karp, and this is episode 7. The time is just flying. I can't believe I'm 7 episodes into this already. Today's conversation is going to be with Katy West. Katy is the founder of the Group of One. She's also the UK coordinator for the Love Foundation. And we're going to talk a little bit about her journey to an organic farm in Somerset, England, the ley lines, and the freaky stuff that happens in that area because of those ley lines. We're also going to talk a little bit about what Katy calls the law of creation and the importance of emotion in manifestation. She's going to tell us exactly what she believes the field of infinite possibilities is and why it's so important, and also the importance of listening to your inner self. She's also going to share exactly what beauty means to her. Now, Katy is, well, she's an interesting person. I've known her for about 6 years, and she definitely is one of my favorite people. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, some tea, relax, and get ready to listen to my conversation with Katy.
The time now it's 9 o'clock in the evening, Friday.
So your day is done.
Yeah, there's a big festival happening called, what's it called? Free Harmony, I think. So everybody's all gone down there, so I'm almost home alone. There's just a couple of people waiting to go down.
So what is the Pre-Harmony Festival?
Free Harmony.
Oh, what is the Free Harmony Festival? I'm sorry.
Well, it's just freedom, harmony and peace, joy, all that sort of thing. There's bands playing. I really don't know until I get down there, but they've been down there since Tuesday setting up. But it started today. There's music playing all night and all tomorrow as well, and all tomorrow night. And
you live on a communal organic farm, correct?
Well, it's a working farm. We're very much a working farm. We're not like it's not like sort of a community as such, like a spiritual community, like a commune. It's not a commune.
Right. It's more like a kibbutz.
Well, we're a working organic farm. So we've got 9 polytunnels. We've got an organic farm shop in Bristol that obviously we grow all the produce here and sell it in the shop. So as I said, 9 polytunnels. Plus we've got like the fields as well, where we grow a lot of vegetables as well. We grow everything by hand, and also, where we're slightly different from a lot of organic farms, is we actually grow from seed.
Oh, cool. Well, forgive my ignorance, but what else are you supposed to grow from?
No, but we actually get the seeds. We get the seeds here, and we actually, grow them in the nursery. Some organic farms or some farms actually get them when they're just like a few weeks old, so to speak, so where they started sprouting.
Oh, okay, so they don't do it from the seeds from the beginning, so to speak. They already get the vegetables and whatever else they're growing when they're baby sprouts, I guess you can call it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That was something I was told last year, that where we slightly differ from a lot of other farms, yeah.
Where is this farm located? Where are you right now?
It's called Radford Mill Farm, and it's in Somerset. So we're actually just south of Bath. For any of your listeners that are into ley lines, we've got 3 major ley lines that actually cross through the middle of our farm.
That's cool. Is there any freaky energy going on with those ley lines?
Oh, certainly load of freaky energy here on the farm. That's why.
Okay, this is a family show. Let's keep it a little bit clean. With the ley lines, have you experienced anything unusual? Let me rephrase the question.
For those that are here that are highly sensitive beings, let's so to speak, have actually they've sort of seen a lot of energies, orbs. They've actually seen and experienced some quite sort of fascinating stuff.
And you? Have you experienced anything paranormal being those close to the ley lines?
Well, if I tune in, I can sort of feel. I can feel something, but I don't very often tune in anymore, Gary. I just stay present in my now moment, and I just enjoy where I am right now.
Okay. When you used to tune in, how did you do that? What was the process? Was it meditation? Was it what ritual did you use?
Well, I just sort of sit. I take a couple of deep breaths, and then I just sit there and I just sort of focus on nothing. It's like I'm looking in front of me, but not actually focus on any one thing in particular. And then things come into my experience.
Okay, so you're actually doing a form of meditation. You're quieting the mind and quieting the body, and that's a form of meditation to get your brain into what's called a theta state, where the theta waves are there, and you're more into connection with the universal energy.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I could do it very quickly. I could do it within like probably 60 seconds or less.
So, how did you end up in Somerset on an organic farm? What was that journey like?
Yes, that was an interesting one. I was in a flat in Bristol, and I was living with somebody, and I had a job, and all was tickety boo. And then basically, not going to go into details, but in 1 month, I became homeless, jobless, and single. Yes, I just, if you're going to do it properly. That's what I say.
Hey, I got that thing in common with you too that happened to me a few years ago, so we're right there with each other, Katie.
Yeah. But as you know me, Gary, but those that are listening don't. I'm always very optimistic, and I actually embrace change. To the point it was almost like when I knew these things were coming to an end, I was really looking forward to what was on the other side. I had absolutely no idea where my life was going, but I just looked forward to what surprises and opportunities were going to actually come to me. For the past I'd say 8 years or so, I've been very much into one door shuts, another one always opens. And that is so true. And, it's just so true. It always happens. Something always comes along within a couple of days. So when I left left my job and everything, my parents said I could go and stay there. But really, ideally, it didn't feel the right thing for me to do. So I was offered to go and live in Scotland for a few months, just really to get away. So I could go up there and be on the outside looking in, so to speak. And we've got so many friends up there. So I went up there, and my 3 month stay lasted 1 week. By the time I had a fantastic time, but I think because I was out of the situation, I could see a lot clearer.
The forest through the trees kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I then I decided, okay, well, I'll go back to live at my parents'. So I was living in their attic for a while, for a few months. And one of the girls that was a friend of mine, Helga, she was sharing the flat with me we were all in, but she was sharing the flat for a few days because she worked in Bristol, so she used to stay over. And a friend of hers actually told her about the farm. It was in April, end of April. Helga had a birthday party here. She actually moved here, and she had a birthday party and invited me to come along to the party. So I came along to the party, had a fantastic time in the morning, stepped outside, couldn't believe it because I'd arrived in the dark, and I just felt home. I said to Helga, do you mind if I ask the landlord, Richard, if I come here? And Helga said, no, that's fine.
So you said that you felt home. Could you describe the feelings that you had at that moment?
I felt, when I say home, okay, it felt I was at the right place at the right time, and I just felt it was going to serve me at my highest level to be here. And
you just instinctually knew that. You instinctually knew that this place would serve the greater good, or your greater good, your higher power.
Yeah. I didn't know why, but it just felt 100% right.
Okay, so you asked Helga if you could speak to the landlord.
Well, I asked Helga if she was okay with me moving here, obviously, because obviously we're friends, and I just think out of respect to ask her that. And she said yes. We went to have a look at a little wooden cabin. It's like a little wooden shed that was available for someone to move into. So we went in there, and I actually got a picture of me lying on the bed in the cabin before it was mine. And both Helga and I we were in there, and we were pretending, imagining me actually living there, and we manifested it basically. And then I went down to speak to Richard, and he said yes, I could move in. So 3 weeks later I moved in, and that was 2 years ago.
So when you were visualizing with Helga, or when you were moving through and actually putting yourself in that place, and you ended up manifesting it, was that a conscious decision, or was that just playing with the universe and poof, it happened?
Yeah. Yes, well, playing with the universe, but we were actually, Helga and I are very good at manifesting things together. We quite often do it with the weather, and other little things we've sort of done it with, but just, very little things. And so, yeah, we did it in the shed together, and we were just in there, and we were imagining, I suppose, acting out, but imagining, really feeling it. That for anybody listening that wants to manifest something to happen or to have, is to really feel the experience like you're actually experiencing it right then and there, and to actually truly believe it.
So would it be safe to say you are a believer or a proponent of the law of attraction, or did you call this something else?
I like to call it the law of creation.
I like that. I actually like that better. That's really good. Could you go on and talk about the law of creation and what that is to you, what that means to you?
What the law of creation means to me is that I create my own reality, whether consciously or unconsciously. Consciously is when I'm working towards an outcome, that I actually want something actually to work. So I put the steps in place to consciously create. And then I unconsciously create when, exactly as I said with regards to the farm, when I first came here, I just knew. I knew that I'd created this, but I didn't know why. So it's sort of like, again, I knew I created it, but I created it unconsciously, but I didn't actually know why I created it. So for me, the law of creation is actually creating consciously.
So do you think that on an unconscious level or on a metaphysical level, your soul knew what it needed and it just gave you a little nudge mystically?
Yeah. What I believe is that my soul has experienced this farm over and over and over again. I'm just repeating the same thing all the time because it's never ending. It's continuous. That's
interesting. It sounds like you do a lot of work or have a familiarity with a lot of energy work. Because to me, the law of creation, and for me, the law of creation is a little bit different than you. So I refer to it as the tools of creation instead of the law of creation, which is simply thought, word, and action.
Yeah.
And the first, for me, in tools of creation, that first tool of thought is you have to have that idea. You have to bring it into your head, make the unconscious conscious. You then have to speak it or write it down, which gives it some weight. And then finally, that last step, action, you have to do something. I find that so many people, whether they are proponents of the law of attraction or they do some goal setting, are really good about the first and the second, but they do nothing on the third. I mean, I see this with vision board creations all the time and in vision board workshops all the time. People come in and they put down everything they want on their vision boards, and they don't do anything about it. Could you talk about how important it is to take action once you have made the unconscious conscious and you have either spoken it out loud or you have written it down? How important to you is it to take action on that?
With the thought word deed, for me, that it's the thought and the feeling as well. The feeling has to be in alignment with the thought.
I agree with you 100%. The feeling is actually more important in anything. You need that connection to the emotion.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with some people, when they do the thought word and not the deed, it's because they lack the feeling.
That's interesting. I have never thought about it that way. Could you go on about that? If people only do the thought and the word but not the deed because they're missing that emotional component, that emotional attachment which will drive them forward, how are they able to get that feeling?
Well, obviously it's an individual experience, but the feeling is to actually focus on what it is you want and really feel it with every ounce of body. Feel the experience like you're already experiencing it, first and foremost. So that's bringing the thought and feeling in alignment and really and making it like really powerful. And it's keeping that feeling, that focus, and then obviously the thought, the word, the talking about it, speaking about it, writing it down, still with that thought and that feeling. And that feeling will drive through with the action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, it makes perfect sense. Emotion is the missing piece to every puzzle of creation. And I feel that we all get that backwards in the real world, in the muggle world, if you will. Because we're all told that we're logical creatures, that we do things for logical reasons, and that's simply not true. We're emotional creatures, we're emotional beings, and you have to generate that feelings in order to tell the universe, hey, I'm serious about this. You have to generate the feeling. I mean, logically, everybody knows that smoking is bad for you. There is no one out there who does not know logically that smoking will kill you. If all we needed was the logic, then no one would smoke and Philip Morris would be bankrupt. But there are tons of smokers out there. And the funniest joke, or the oldest joke in the world, is quitting smoking is the easiest thing to do. I've done it hundreds of times. Because what people are missing is that emotional component to stop smoking.
Yes. For somebody who chooses to give up smoking, then yes.
Well, yes, we're all talking in this conversation. We're all talking about choices people have made. They have made the decision to stop smoking. So they may have thought about it. They may have verbalized it by telling their doctor or their husband or their wife or their partner. Yeah. And they may even have flushed their cigarettes down the toilet. But until they create that emotional connection to what stopping smoking will mean for them, and everything that they will gain from it, and everything they will lose from it, and until they attach to that emotion, there's not going to be a permanent solution to their smoking situation.
That's right.
It seems to me, and I know you a little bit, so I think I'm safe to say this, that you have a very unique spirituality. You are a spiritual person, and you do feel a connection to the divine or to the creator. Can you talk to us a little bit about your individual spirituality?
Well, let's talk about feelings then. Basically, my feelings are connected to everything. Let's just say that. Because feelings are vibration. So it sends out energy, which is connected to everything, because everything is energy. So because everything's energy, and I am that I am, okay, and I always listen to my feelings. So basically I only do what feels right for me. Now, because in doing that, I'm connected to all of me.
When you're talking about the all of me, you're talking about the collective, that we are truly one. And Katy West, the person Katy West, is simply an individuation of the one that we all are.
And I'm also talking about the field of infinite possibilities as well.
Talk to us about that. What is the field of infinite possibilities?
Okay, well, how I see it is it's my imagination, okay, which is where all the thoughts, where all the creativity, all the inspiration, everything comes into me. It's sometimes, I've asked people, I said, just asking people what they think. And I've said to them, what's your imagination? Do you know what your imagination is? Or, because so many people go, oh, that's just your imagination. But they actually don't know what imagination is. Personally, I believe it is the all-encompassing field of infinite possibilities, which we call consciousness, where
Okay.
everything exists. And, well, I can't remember how many thoughts we have a day, but I know it's a lot.
It's a
These,
lot of thoughts, yeah.
it's a lot of thoughts.
You were talking about your individual spirituality and the infinite field of possibilities.
Yeah. Okay, so over the years, I've found ways of sort of managing, okay, not managing, let's say blocking out random thoughts that come in. And so how I manage myself now is I focus on staying very, very present in the moment and focusing on what I believe requires to be focused on right now. And so I just keep myself very much present. And it's taken me many years to find ways of managing myself to actually be able to do that.
So, how do you do that? What ways do you manage yourself and keep yourself in the state of living in the moment?
Well, one of the I suppose one thing is going back to feelings. I act on my feelings or don't act depending on what my feelings are, coming up. I always ask myself, how do I feel about that?
Okay. So, can you give an example of one time that you did check in with your feelings? You did ask yourself, how does this make me feel? And your greater self responded with an enthusiastic yay, even though you may have been a little hesitant, you moved forward through it anyway.
Well, if I'm slightly hesitant, to me it's a no or not yet. And there's been so many different times. It's very difficult to pick one out, isn't it, when you're asked to pick one out?
Always listen to that little itty bitty voice, that gut reaction. If it's telling you to do something or not do something, then by all means, listen to it.
I mean, so often I hear when I'm talking to, people, and they'll say to me, oh, it really didn't feel right to do it, but I did. Because of, again, either sort of peer pressure, or they felt they had to, or they thought they should do, or, it was all this sort of, what would people think of me? Or I didn't want to let that person down. And so they didn't listen to their gut feeling and act on that, even though they didn't know why. They didn't listen to themselves.
I understand exactly what you're talking about. To me, that's another great lesson, that you always have to be authentic and congruent to yourself. You need to listen to yourself and honor yourself. And in talking with you, Katy, in everything that you're doing and everything that you have done in your journey to get to this farm, that is the one thing that has been expressly clear to me, that has come through crystally, that you have always honored yourself first.
Yeah, and do you know what? By doing that, I have so many friends, so many beautiful friends. I honour myself. I'm honest to myself about stuff that comes up. It's like things come up, I look at it and I think, right, okay, why's that come up? Why's that fear come up? Fear's always coming up for me. But, when they come up, I look at it. I don't try and suppress it, keep it down or run from it or whatever. It's like I allow it to come up and I look at it and go, oh, wow, okay.
The one thing I try to remember about fear, and the one thing I talk to my clients about all the time when fear comes up, and stress and tension and anxiety, is that fear really stands for one of two things: either forget everything and run, or false evidence appearing real.
Or feeling excited and ready.
Feeling excited and ready. That is a twist and turning on the head. I love that. Let me repeat that again for you folks. Fear is feeling excited and ready. Talk about turning a negative into a positive. That's wonderful, Katy. I love that. I've never heard that before.
Cool.
The one thing you have to remember is that it's just stories, and stories can be retold and the endings could be changed. And I think that when dealing with fear, what everyone should try to do is retell the story that is holding them back so that they become the hero. I know that sounds Pollyanna, and I know that sounds unbelievable, but I really believe that change takes an instant. It's the decision to change that could take the lifetime. So you're in Somerset now. And just for our listeners who are not aware, Katy is in England right now. Somerset and Bristol and all those wonderful cities and counties that she's mentioning is in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes drive from Glastonbury.
Okay, I'll admit I am a Yankee through and through. I don't know where that is.
Well, Glastonbury tour, it's, it's quite sort of up there, and the spiritual people know Glastonbury tour.
Okay, I am a spiritual person, but my spiritual geography is lacking. Where in the world is spiritual Carmen Sandiego is something I never watched as a kid.
Okay. Okay.
So, what do you do on this farm? Take us through what your typical day would be like.
So what I do, on a Monday and Thursday, I help with the pick and pack, and that's sort of picking all the vegetables, weighing them, washing them, packing them all up for all the orders, and then all the orders, go off and get delivered to wherever they need to be delivered to in the afternoon. I do the strimming. I love strimming, Gary. I just totally love it. I think it must be because I used to be a barber. I don't cut hair anymore. Now I give the farm a haircut.
So what is strimming?
Brush cutting.
Okay, you're talking to a city boy here.
Okay. Well, when you mow the lawn and then you've got like the edges are all sort of like a bit tufty, and so you go along with a little strimmer and it just sort of, it's like little baby clippers.
You give the farm a haircut. That's the way I'm going to say it, because I don't understand that other stuff. So I'm just going to say you give the farm a haircut.
Yeah, it's like mowing the lawn. Yeah, mow the grass.
I mowed the lawn once in my life when I first moved down to Florida to be with my wife, and we were living with the in-laws while we were looking for a place, and I had to contribute, so I went out and mowed the lawn. And after I was done, my father-in-law sort of looked at me and said, "Thank you for trying. Never do this again."
Oh dear.
So talk to me about beauty. What is beauty to you?
Beauty to me is innocence. Beauty to me is just seeing something and giving it no meaning. Just looking at it in its unique rawness. Everything's serving a purpose. Everything's just beautiful just the way it is. I suppose that's how I see life. Everything is just all perfectly perfect.
I'm pretty sure that there are people who are listening to us today that really are going through the same situations that you do. Maybe they're looking for themselves. Maybe they're looking for an answer. Maybe they're just a little bit confused on their journey. If you can give these people one word of advice, what would it be?
Laugh more.
That's perfect advice. Could you go a little bit further into why they should laugh more?
I feel so many people take life so seriously. And at the end of the day, it's all about balance. For me, the whole experience of being human is to experience all of it. And in the past, I have experienced some of it, but I've got so intense in some parts of it that I've forgotten all the rest. Like, I've forgotten even like to focus on the rest. And I believe that laughing and, spending time with people who really make you laugh, that you just see the funny side of life. Because life does have a funny side.
It certainly does. One of my favorite quotes is, I believe the gentleman's name is Ira Cobb, said that comedy is merely tragedy standing on its head with its pants torn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always try to remember that. So laugh more is wonderful, wonderful advice. And now, Katy, I'd like to give you an opportunity to plug anything you want. If you want to talk about the farm and give their website, so our listeners, if they want to order some organic food, will be able to do so from the website. By the way, they deliver outside of England? Will they deliver to the States?
No.
Okay, so if you're in the United States, forget everything Katy is about to tell you about the farm. But if you're living in England and you're listening to this, Katy, could you give us the website that people can go to find out more about the farm?
Right, well, it's radfordmill.co.uk, I think. Was it .com? I've got a feeling it's radformill.com. Do you know, I haven't actually got it in front of me. We've been organic since before it became trendy. Sorry, no, it's just me putting that bit in. But with regards to what else I do, I am the creator of the Group of One, which is all about inspiring unconditional love, living oneness and unconditional love. You can find us on the Facebook, or the website is groupofone.org. So that's that's the digit one, number one.org. And I'm also UK coordinator for the Love Foundation, inspiring people to love unconditionally. That's thelovefoundation.com. That's all I'm going to say right now, because there's other things in the ether, but nothing set in stone just yet. So I'm not going to speak about that.
Okay, well, we look forward to having you back on when those things that are in the ether manifest themselves, and you definitely have some time to talk about whatever that other thing is going to manifest itself as.
Yes, I can't wait to talk about that one.
But Katy, I would right now want to thank you for spending the time and sharing your stories, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Gary. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. I learned more about farming in that conversation than I knew in my entire life. That was really something fun. And with Katy, you never know where you're going to go. We did start going down the rabbit hole a little bit. And I'm sure when I have her back on, we're going to go deeper and further down that rabbit hole. I loved Katy's definition of fear, which I had never heard before. Her definition of fear is feeling excited and ready. And talk about turning a negative into a positive, talking about finding the silver lining in every black cloud. If we could all cultivate that mindset, we would never fear or be anxious again. I know that has become a permanent definition for me, and I want to thank Katy for giving it to me. I also loved her advice of laughing more. Too many people, I find, take life way too seriously. They're too wrapped up in keeping up with the Joneses and making the money and making their mark. All we really need to do, folks, is to breathe, enjoy the moment, and enjoy life. And laughing really will help us do that. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Passionate Talk. So, until we meet again, follow your dreams and passions and manifest the life that you choose.